Here's some easy licks to just get into your vocabulary and your blues playing, okay? Here's the first one. We're staying right here in the A minor pentatonic, also the A blues scale. And this first one is, I'm gonna take my first finger and I'm gonna cover it on the 5th fret on the high E and the B string at the same time. First, you can just start like this. Just like that. Now I could climb up the blues scale into that lick, and all of a sudden you have something happening. Okay, but then what we can do to it is we can start a half step lower, pick, and then slide into it like this. And we don't want to, I've noticed with students, you hear the slide down and it doesn't sound right. You always want to only hear it sliding in, not sliding back like this. Good, that's a good one to just when you're first starting. Okay, so we have our pinky on the 8th fret on the high E, and we have as part of the scale, and we also have that same thing on the B string. So you can toy as you're going, you can experiment with both of those notes as you're doing that idea like this. Right down the scale again. So that's our first lick. Our next lick is, we want to get the bends, right? We got to get some bends in there. So, the first bend that I always teach is on the G string, or 1, 2, 3rd string up from the bottom here. Ring finger right on the 7th fret. And what I'm going to do, this is how I do it, and someone taught it to me this way, is I get my ring finger, middle finger behind it, and first finger behind that, all just for strength, for support. You're only hearing that note being bent up, but I'm doing it with all 3 fingers, and I really want to think of, the tips of my fingers down on the string, and then, so if my fingers are bent, then I straighten them out, and I have a ton of leverage to bend up, because bending can feel a little weird at first. Okay, so here's a few things we can do with this bend. One thing is we can bend it up and then let go and hear the 5th fret with our first finger, and that sounds like this. And if you can't get that vibrato thing going yet, don't worry about it. For me, I just can't not do it now. It's just second nature, but just like that. Bend up, first finger right there. So let's combine the first lick with it. See that? Oh, we're stacking the ideas together. That's the idea. Ah, okay. Now another thing with that bend. That, and then right down to the 7th fret on the next string, the D string, like this. Okay, here's another one with that bend. A lot of variations. We can bend it up, and then with our first finger there, hammer on to the 7th fret with no bend, like this. Here's real slow. lots of variation right there. And, you know, the idea is to really make them your own, you know. Once you kind of get it as a little phrase, you know, I would recommend that you try and change it a little bit. That's the language that we're learning here, okay? So here's a couple more. One that I like a lot is kind of like a little pattern idea. So I'm going to use my ring finger on the 7th fret of the D string. And then I'm going to hit that note once. And then I'm going to go to my first finger on the 5th fret of the G string like this. Okay? But then I'm going to go back to the root again, or the 7th fret on the D string. And then I'm going to roll it across to the next note up from there, like. You see that? Here, get my pick in there. Now I can combine that with the other ideas we were doing. You'll just start to hear things in there as you do it. But I'm going to keep going with that little pattern. Root again there. Now I'm going to go up to the blues note. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my pinky there. You know, you got to start using your pinky too. That you can really, I mean, it's going to take a lot of repetition, but you'll start to have them in your head, and you can just throw them down and change them about. Okay, so I'm going to throw all those ideas now improvised in over A blues. See that? So yeah, hopefully you can work on some of those ideas right there, and besides that, climb up the scale into those licks too. You know, triplets in the blues scale up to that. Right there, you can always fill it up with the scale run, up and down the scale run. You can always throw that in, especially if you're a little lost or don't know what to do. It's a good way to go with that. So, all right, keep working. You can do it.